Well, my name is Dorothy Brown, and I grew up in the property next door. I'm 69 years old, and I've lived here all my life, except for a short stint when we were stationed down south in the Army. The central part was built before 1740. My grandparents bought it in 1923 and added on both the wings. My brother, when he got married in the 1980s, added the big wing in the back. This house was my grandmother's. This little house here, she built as a retirement home. There's a path between the two houses. Our children grew up about the same time in the 80s and 90s. And they went back and forth between the houses. So it was very good for all the kids to have their aunts and uncles nearby. So 4 generations lived here. And Old Windybush Road was a main road into Philadelphia for the farmers going down to sell their produce. The wagons went by. There was a watering trough across the road where they could water their horses. There was a blacksmith shop down the road where they could get their horses shod. We just read in the paper today there was a hotel down near Girard Avenue where they could spend the night after they delivered their produce and rest their horses and come back the next day. My grandmother was an art teacher at Burlington High School in Burlington, New Jersey, and my grandfather did several things: bookbinding, art, silent film actor, but my grandmother was the breadwinner, and they had this house as a summer cottage. And when my mother, who was their only child, married, she was given that house. We're just outside of New Hope, about a mile. This is Solesbury Township. And New Hope was on 202 York Road, a major road into New York. And it was a place people needed to pass through. They had to cross the river. There was a ferry there from the very earliest colonial times on the way to New York. And it became an artist colony back in the well, before the turn of the 19th century. Became an artist colony.
Were you ever tempted to live someplace else?
No. When I was down south, I couldn't wait to get back home. It's what I know well, and the smells, the sounds, the people. And at this point, I'm probably the oldest resident in terms of years living on the road.
What kind of changes have you seen in the time you're here?
Well, of course, there's been a lot more development in the New Hope area and in Solesbury Township. The high school classes now have over 100 students, and when I graduated, it was 45 in our class. We've had bond issues floated, and people have voted for them to buy the development rights from local landowners, farmers, and the idea is to keep the land open and in agriculture if possible. So 30% of the township is preserved now, open space.